Hello, thanks for tuning in. Joe Simhart here again. Today we're going to look at a book I just read. I've had since 1963 called The Cult of the Cat. And we're going to take a quick look at why these creatures were idolized as gods in ancient Egypt and other cultures, and then also demonized as witches, familiars, and sometimes persecuted, whatever. Okay, I'm going to let you go. That was Elliot. He's one of our new 2 kittens we got after our dog passed away. So we're back to cats. And we've had many over the years, my wife and I. So I read this book, The Cult of the Cat, by Patricia Dale-Green, and it's an easy read. It's academic in the sense she did a lot of research to put this together, but she doesn't overburden the reader with too many footnotes or academic terms. The interesting story I got out of this is how human beings can take something like an animal and turn it into a god or some kind of mythological being or a force of nature. For instance, in here they talk about how the cat represented, for some cultures, similar to the snake, both wisdom and evil. And the identification of the cat with the sun and the moon because of the glow in its eyes became magical in some cultures. In ancient Egypt, for instance, I'll read here, Bastet was originally a fierce lioness, warrior goddess of the sun, worshipped throughout most of ancient Egypt history. Later, she became the cat goddess that is familiar today. She was then depicted as the daughter of Ra and Isis, and the consort of Ptah, with whom she had a son, Mahes. So the stories go on, but this reverence for the cat and the sense of the cat's spiritual power has been held today in the Middle East in many ways. For instance, you can go to Istanbul and cats run free. It's actually considered against the law to harm a cat or to kill a cat. So the reverence for the cat, or at least the admiration for it, is elevated in some cultures, and in others is demonized. You know, I've grown up around people that are cat haters. You know, for instance, I was walking one of my dogs and a cat was following us, and a lady across the street who owned a Rottweiler yelled out in a friendly way, you know, "My dog eats cats." You know, I said, "Okay, don't let your dog loose." There's this weird connection to the cat in ancient Egypt and the Middle East to the idea of the virgin. And I'll read this to you. It says, the cat is the cleanest of all animals. It spends hours grooming itself and its kittens with its tongue, and any suggestion of contamination by human beings is followed by urgent and strenuous licking. The only way in which the cat can possibly be thought of as virgin is if the word is used in its broadest sense, for although it is usually taken as referring to a person innocent of sexual intercourse, more deeply it means someone who is unpossessed and who has remained unsullied by sex. The Immaculate Womb of the Virgin Mary has been thought of as an abyss in which nothing leaves a stain. Although it gives birth to all things, as the Queen of Heaven gives birth to the sun, moon, and stars, it remains eternally virgin and spotless. The fertility goddesses were always considered to be virgin, for the Great Mother was a personification of the womb of nature. To this goddess, the male was an anonymous fertilizing agent, and the temple prostitutes, who were priestesses of the Great Mother, although prepared to give themselves to any man, belonged to no man. Thus, as representatives of nature, the Mother Nature giving birth to everything, the concept of the eternal virgin, the the abyss from which we all come has to remain virgin. And somehow this got translated into Catholicism with the Virgin Mary and the Immaculate Conception, all that. But this was presaged or predated in worship of the cat and how people saw the cat and imagined the cat in terms of its cosmic connection in ancient times. So, it's kind of true. The Catholic Church has picked up quite a few pagan concepts. They're not necessarily right or wrong. They are just the way human beings perceive nature and preserve these ideas in order to give us connection with nature, and maybe with the cosmos and with God, or whatever nature term that you want to use for that. This book also brings out some horrible stuff. For instance, there's a Scottish sect in medieval times that would believe in witches and witchcraft, and they saw the cats as familiars, especially black cats, and sometimes they would collect these animals thinking they were shape-shifted witches, humans that turned into witches, and they would put them in a cage and then roast them alive, and claiming that the howling as they died was a sign of the evil leaving the body. I mean, how crazy can you get? But this it goes on and on because we have this somewhat idiotic and maybe religious or spiritual potential to project these cosmic and psychological themes that are within us onto the outer world. So in the back of the book called The Feline Demon of Cult of the Cat, she says, cats have a power to fascinate or repel, a power expressed in myth, legend, folklore. Cult of the Cat is a thorough investigation of the mysterious feline, sacred cats of ancient Egypt, legends of cat goddesses, the white cat at the coronation of the king of Siam. Explained are the devil cat, which emerges from sexual orgies of witches and black magicians, the vampire cat, which sucks the blood of sleeping men, the feline succubus, which robs them of vitality. This fascinating book is not only for cat lovers, but for all who enjoy tracing mankind's hidden emotions through myth and legend. Patricia Dale-Green comes at this from a Jungian perspective, so you get this idea of archetypes and how they inform us as psychological human beings. And, a little heavy on the Jungian stuff, so I kind of warn you if you read the book. But in any case, I found it quite an insight into our religious natures, and as well as our yearning for spiritual power of some kind over things. We set up in Egypt as human beings these great temples to Bastet or Sekhmet, and did sacrifices and pageants and rituals in order to gain favor with the cat god, so that we become more fertile or more powerful, and especially more wise, because we are imbued with the powers of the sun and the moon, in other words, the sources of light, the sources of wisdom. So these must have been quite fascinating festivals to attend back in those days, with all the wonderful costuming and the music and the incense and the pageantry, all about the cat. So, we have this kind of projection today. We have movies like the Black Panther and the Marvel comics. Animals become superpowered, like Ant-Man and the Wolverine. Anyway, here's Eliot again. We named him after T.S. Eliot, who wrote the popular book Cats, on which the stage play was named after. And so he's just a cat, and he's a lot of fun, and he's growing. All right, buddy, say goodbye. Thank you for listening.